Hi everybody, welcome to Able. I really wanted to share this with you. We had a problem with our television screen in our Airstream Classic. Not sure if this screen is used in a lot of other RVs, but I wanted to share with you what I learned and have it on record. In case somebody in the future has this kind of problem, they'll be able to fix it and solve it. I hope this helps everybody out, and let's get down to the detail. First off, I reached out to Airstream that got me in touch with Draper. That was the manufacturer of the automatic screen. Had a great discussion. I don't know, I might have had probably 5-6 emails and probably 3 or 4 phone calls with, and really were a huge help in solving this problem. First thing I did is I said, hey, I need some troubleshooting steps. What can I do to figure out what the problem is? And they said, the first thing you need to do is take the end cap off. Then within that end cap, there are some test points as well as a fuse. So check the fuse to make sure it's not blown. And the other thing you can do is check the test points. Test points will tell you if the motors are still good. So if you can raise it up or down, when you touch 2 and 3 and short them together, they'll lower it. And when you short 1 and 3 together, they will raise it. So I got that and started to take it apart. First thing I was asked to do is take the end cap off. I took the end cap off and realized that I could not see clearly where the pins were nor the fuse. I could hold my phone up, take a picture, which you're seeing right here, but unfortunately it was about 2 inches or 3 inches and just could not get my hands in there or my head or any tools or a piece of wire, etc. So I realized, gotta take the screen off. First thing you gotta do to take the screen off is, in the shade, is there are 6 screws. There's 3 per side, 2 that are screwed in the side, and then there are 2 plastic clips that hold up the bottom. Classic, you got to be careful because there's a big bunch of wire that's used to signal to raise and lower both the day and the night shades. Once I got the shade off, it was time to take off the screen. The screen was held on by 4 bolts. They had end caps, and then they were held on by 4 nuts. What was holding those nuts were 2 clamps that you can see here in the picture. Take those clamps off and be very careful. Probably want to have some help, as that screen is going to come down. When I got the screen off, I needed somewhere to put it, and I said I'll just lay it on the bed, and as you can see, it's wider than the bed. But I had it off. Now I could get my hands on it, look on it, and see what the problems were. As I started doing some testing, I found out that the IR, the infrared sensor, fell off into my hand. I said, oh, here's a problem. Wonder if that could do it. So got back on the phone, called Draper up and said, hey, I found this out. And they said, unfortunately, they don't make these parts anymore and haven't. But luckily they had some, how the cable was made. They sent those instructions to me, and I looked at the bottom and said, wow, these are from 2003. Just to give you an idea of what was being done at that time. So I looked at it and said, well, I kind of figured it out. Let's see if I can fix it. I decided, let's see if I can fix it. Spoke to Draper. They said, shouldn't be any problem. It's really not that high power, and an infrared sensor really not going to fry anything. Not going to let the smoke out if you miswire it. So I began trying to figure out how was it wired. And I knew that there were most likely 2 options, could be 3. I then went online. I looked at the wiring instructions they sent me, went online, looked at a lot of different infrared receivers that are available out there, and realized I didn't quite have the answer, so let's try and solder it up and see what happens. The first soldering I did was I had blue, red, then green, and you can see that in the picture there. Took that, soldered it up, took it in, tested it out, nothing happens. I said, well, I wonder what's going to happen next. So then I tried to switch green, red, blue, just see if that would make a center. I had a feeling that red was in the center based on all the pictures I looking at the instructions, looking at the wire and those pics. So went and tested it out, and what do you know? It worked. As you can see here, here's the completed piece, infrared, and it's got an RJ14 jack, I believe that is. That's just 4 wires in there. Glad to see that it works. Now we get to put it all back. Oh boy. I also added a switch. It's a 3-way switch that allow me to both raise it, lower it, and then leave it in the center where it won't do anything. Now we hook it back up. We clip on the brackets onto the screen, and we hang the screen up and try to get it fit. One suggestion is measure the distance, mark the brackets where they go so you can measure. They're 42 inches apart, so that way you'll be able to easily put them back on. And this is a 2-person job. There's Jamie helping me as she holds it up, and I tighten up the nuts and we get it set up. Now we get to set up and put back on the shades. Let's see how hard that is. Before we put on the shades, let's test it out and make sure it works. Oh, look, there it goes. Yay! Super. Then we put on the 4 nuts and it works. And now onto the shade. The shade goes back on the same way it came off. And let me tell you, it is a tight fit. Came off a lot easier than it went back, but we did get it back, and we did make sure we got all the wires for the blinds back, tested those out, and they work great. Here's a picture of the switch I'm going to use and the wires. The switch did not come in yet, but I've got that all set up, ready to go. I'm going to mount it there in the cabinet. Have a little bit too much wire, but not a big deal. Easy to fix. And now, if it ever happens again, I've got a fix. One thing we noticed when we were putting the window frame on is the wrap and how thick it is that's around the sink and the stove and that. You can see that it's about an 8-inch thick piece of kind of metal or coating. Not sure exactly what it is, but I was really surprised at how thick it was. And here it is, all working. I just wanted to share this with everybody, get it out there in case this happens to somebody else, whether they're in an Airstream or they're in another RV that's got this type of screen. That'll give them some troubleshooting tips. One thing I learned in this is it takes a little education, a little information, a little stick-to-itiveness, and you can really fix a lot of the problems there that are on the Airstream. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. See you on the road.